Welcome back. In our midst we have Sister Ellen G. White. We have been discussing original sin. At this juncture we will be boldly going where no other interview has gone before. Sister White, before the break you outline the general principles of inheritance. You made the call for all to come to Christ. One of the questions that is whispered in church circles is, did human nature got corrupted as a result of Adam's transgression?
Wonderful. When man transgressed the divine law, his nature became evil, and he was in harmony, and not at variance, with Satan. There is in man's nature a bent to evil. By yielding to temptation, man's nature became so depraved that in himself man have no power, and no disposition, to resist Satan. There are destructive tendencies in man's nature, and Satan strengthened these destructive tendencies by bringing in envy, jealousy, selfishness, covetousness, emulation, and strife for the highest place. Your question was, did human nature got corrupted as a result of Adam's transgression? Satan is making sure that he completes the job he started. He is soughting in every way to deface the divine image in man, and to place his principles where the principles of heaven should be. Wonderful. Please remember that Satan separated himself from God, and selfishness became the law of those who placed themselves under his leadership. He came to this earth, and entered upon the work of conforming all things to himself. He sought in every way to deface the divine image in man, and to place his principles where the principles of heaven should be. Wonderful. Always bear in mind that sin is the transgression of the law. However, and most important, it is the outworking of a principle at war with the great law of love, which is the foundation of the divine government. Let me repeat myself here. Sin is the outworking of a principle at war with the great law of love, which is the foundation of the divine government. What is the chief principle of original sin? Wonderful. You have to look back at the history of the first rebel in order to understand what the chief principle of original sin is. Satan. The first rebel erected his standard of revolt against God in heaven. He aspired to be like God, and determined to assert a power of independence of God. His after history has revealed a persevering determination to establish his empire, governed by laws, and replenished with resources, independent of God. Wonderful. Envy, jealousy, selfishness, covetousness, emulation, and strife are but the outworking of the chief principle of original sin, independence of God. Wonderful. You must always keep the following facts in your mind. Sin is multifaceted. Let me give another example. Distrust of God is cruel. Cruel distrust is part of the disposition of the nature of man. Did you not read what Jeremiah 17 verse 9 said about the heart of man?
Yes, Sister White. Jeremiah 17 verse 9 says that the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? I agree, only God alone can truly give a comprehensive definition for sin. We have not yet searched our Bibles for all the definitions of sin. We have limited the definition of sin to the outward transgression of God's law. I believe we should search the Bible in a more diligent fashion, line upon line, precept upon precept, and see God's comprehensive definition for sin.
Well spoken. Wonderful.
My apology for interrupting you. Sister White, have you anything to say about the human heart?
The Apostle Peter declared that the human heart is covetous. In the human heart there is natural selfishness and corruption. I know that the human heart is blind to its own true condition. In addition, the natural heart hates the law of God, and wars against its holy claim. The carnal heart must be crucified, for the tendency of the heart is to moral corruption. The thoughts of the heart are not pure and holy. The natural heart does not love to think of God, of heaven, or of heavenly things. There must be a continual pressing back of the current of worldliness, and inclination to evil, and letting in of heavenly light.
Sister White, are you saying that this is the condition of all that was born into this world, including you?
Wonderful. You keep forgetting that at its very source human nature was corrupted. You keep forgetting that ever since Adam sinned, sin has continued its hateful work, reaching from mind to mind or from heart to heart. Every sin committed awakens the echoes of the original sin. Whenever one commits sin, such a one is repeating that which Satan did while in the presence of God, sin. Wonderful, you should bear in mind that when man transgressed the divine law, his nature became evil, and he was in harmony, and not at variance, with Satan. There exists naturally no enmity between sinful men and the originator of sin. Both became evil through apostasy. The apostate is never at rest, except as he obtains sympathy and support by inducing others to follow his example. For this reason, fallen angels and wicked men unite in desperate companionship. Had not God specially interposed, Satan and man would have entered into an alliance against heaven, and instead of cherishing enmity against Satan, the whole human family would have been united in opposition to God.
What else can you tell us about the human heart?
The natural heart is full of hatred to the truth, as it is to Jesus. The heart in its natural state is a habitation for unholy thoughts and sinful passions. When brought into subjection to Christ, it must be cleansed by the Spirit from all defilement. This cannot be done without the consent of the individual. Love proceeds from God. It is a plant of heavenly growth, and it cannot live and flourish in the natural heart. The natural heart is at enmity against God, and will resist the clearest evidence of truth. The wicked will not endure the light that condemns their wrong course of action. The tendencies of the natural heart are downward. There is in the natural heart a tendency to be exalted or puffed up if success attends the efforts put forth. But self-exaltation can find no place in the work of God. The proud heart strives to earn salvation. The heart of man is by nature cold and dark and unliving. Whenever one manifests a spirit of mercy and forgiveness, he does it not of himself, but through the influence of the divine Spirit moving upon his heart. Our hearts are naturally sinful and slothful in the service of Christ. Our hearts are naturally depraved. The vileness of the human heart is not understood. In the unregenerate heart there is love of sin, and a disposition to cherish and excuse it.
We will take a break at this time. I need to go and pray. What Sister White has just said about my heart calls for deep repentance. This is our prayer break. When we come back, we will ask Sister White to continue her discourse on original sin. Don't go away, we will be right back.